do you come up with a beautiful or a quality project plan? So many people have this idea, they want to start a business, they want to embark on a project, but they don't know how to come up with a project plan. I've seen people come up to me and say, I want to come up with a plan for my business. I want to come up with a plan for my project, but I don't know how to really structure it. And there are so many things that you have to put into consideration before you create your project plan. People just have documents and they think that that is a project plan. It sounds very professional on that paper, but they don't have a strategy on how they are going to implement it to create alignment, to create that clarity that the team needs, and to escape from confusion, which is something very practical. You need to be very strategic in the way you come up with your project plan. A project plan is not just about Gantt chart, it's not just milestone, it is not schedule. Rather, a project plan is a master document that explains how you execute the project, control the project, and monitor that project. It is very important that you understand this before you get into your project. Now, there are three factors that gives you a strong hand or amplifies the quality of your project plan. The first thing is you have to remove ambiguity. Yes, don't set up a project plan that is going to confuse so many people. It has to be straightforward. Clarity should be there. The second thing is that your project plan should be able to assign responsibilities. Who is taking in charge of this? Who is responsible for this? Who is accountable for this? Who are we informing? You should create such a project plan. The third thing that you need to make sure that you also put in place is anticipating risks, right? Once you have started a project plan, you just see what could go wrong, what can we put in place. That is it. And I need you to understand that it is very necessary for you to put all these steps in place. Let me give you a very relatable example. Imagine you're working in a software implementation project, right? And you come up with this plan. There are two different scenarios. The first plan says it is going to go live in 3 months. That is your plan. The second plan goes, which is the most important plan. It says that what is the scope? Let's define the scope of this project. What is the risks that could possibly go on? Let's schedule communication channel. What is the budget for this project? What are the stakeholder analysis that we have to put in place? And how do we engage with all of this? You see very well that the first plan just gives you hope, right? You're just hoping that, oh, let's see what happens after 3 months if this project is going to go live. Whereas the second plan prepares you for the outcome of your project, right? You put strategies in place that if you implement them the right way, you're going to get the right outcome. So you need to make sure that you measure this, you weigh your project plan, because if it doesn't balance with the state of your project or the state of your workers, your project is going to fail big time. And one thing I need you to understand is that you are not creating that project plan to impress your stakeholders. You are creating it for clarity. That is where so many PMs go wrong, so many project managers go wrong, or even people who are trying to build a business, they want people to support them. They come up with a complex plan that is going to show that you went through some very tough moment to come out with this, whereas it doesn't bring any clarity. It doesn't make your team safe from confusion. You need to come up with the best plan that saves your team from that confusion. And I'm going to give you 7 practical steps that if you implement, your project plan will be of high quality. The first one is define your project scope, right? You need to understand what is in the scope, what is out of scope, what are the deliverables, what is the acceptance criteria for that project. And if you don't understand this, then you are not going to build a project plan. If you say that you are working for a software company, you want to build an app or you want to build a website, you said you're going to build 10 pages. That is what is included in the scope, right? You're going to put some search engine optimization for the basics in that project. And what is out of the scope is continuous maintenance. You have not agreed that you're going to maintain that project and you have to put that in place. Why are you putting this? You are preventing scope creep, because when you don't understand what you're supposed to do in the course of your project, you're already leading to scope creep. And scope creep is a situation where it is already affecting your project. You have run out of budget, you have run out of the primary objective of what you were supposed to attain for that project. So you need to make sure that there is a balance in your scope. The second thing that you have to do is create a schedule plan. You need to understand what is the timeline for this project. What is the milestone? How long is it going to take? You need to know what are the dependencies, what is the critical part, so that you can enable you to see what you're supposed to focus on more right now in order to get to the next point. What is it that is crucial at the moment? What is it that this other project is delayed because it is depending on this one? It is very necessary for you to know this. You can use tools or softwares. You can use a Gantt chart. A Gantt chart is going to give you a visual representation. You can see how much time you have. You can see which one is depending on this. And if you put them all together, it will be easier for you. You can use boards like Trello board, ClickUp. Once you have put this in place, it's easy for you to navigate from one task to the other. The next thing is your cost management plan. That is our third one, which is very important. You need to know how to represent your costs, right? How much cost, how much money is supposed to be delegated to this direction? How are you going to track it? How are you going to make frequent reports about your project? It is very important for you to see the outcome of the project and the return on investment on that budget that you are creating as well. And the good thing is, if you check the description box of this video, you're going to see a video that I created explaining how you can come up with a budget for your project and how you can see the return on investment. I'm going to put a link also in the description box, so make sure you check it out. That is why it is very crucial for you to put in the cost management plan, because once you have put that, you realize that your efforts are seeing the value that you're bringing in, and your team is going to boost their momentum because they understand where they are heading to and they know what they are going to get out of it as well. Our next point is risk management. For you to create a good project plan, you have to put risk management into consideration. How do we identify the risks? How do we mitigate the risks? Who do we assign these risks to? You have to put those considerations in place, because a project worked on without identifying the risks is like working on a project without knowing the requirements of that project, right? Because if you don't see the outcome before even getting to that project, trust me, it will be very difficult for you to navigate in that project. And that is what so many people do in today's world. They just get into a project, right, without analyzing the risks of that project. What if this goes wrong? Where do I head into? Is it the risks that we can ignore? Is it the risks that we can accept? Can we mitigate these risks, or can we transfer it using insurance or using other method? There are so many ways that you can avoid your risks. There are so many ways that you can put your risks in place, but so many people ignore that. And that is where the value of a project manager comes in. You as a project manager, you as a business owner, you need to understand these things, because if you don't understand them, it is going to affect you and it's going to affect the project as well. This point is communication plan. You need to come up with a communication plan. Identify the stakeholders that you have to communicate with. How do they want their communication? Do they want it through WhatsApp? Do they want it live? Do they want it in person? You have to identify all these things. You need to understand their means of communication. How many times do they want you to communicate with them? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? Is it yearly? Do they want regular reports? You need to understand how your communication plan is going to be with your different stakeholders that you're working with. Because trust me, it is very difficult for you to always have the same stakeholders that want the same line of communication, that prefer the same line of communication or channel of communication. So you have to figure it out yourself. Which method do I use to communicate with my stakeholders? The next one is very crucial as well, and that is stakeholder identification plan, right? How you're going to engage with your stakeholder is what is going to make the difference between a successful project and a failed one. If you ignore your stakeholders in the project of the process of your project, you are going to fail a very big time. So you need to make sure that you identify your stakeholders, know which of them you're supposed to prioritize, know which of them you're supposed to engage with the more. And if you put these things in place, you will see that the process required for your project to go through, it is going to be much easier because you have put into consideration your stakeholders, you have identified them. Which one has high priority, which one just needs minimal engagement, which one needs constant review and feedback. Because I believe that without engaging with your stakeholders and without proper feedback, you are working on a failed project. So you need to make sure that you put all these together. I hope that you can see the difference in the points that I've given you. It is very important as a project manager, you come up a quality plan. Don't just create a document, but you should create a master document that explains everything that you are required to execute, control, and monitor in that project, because it is going to go a long way. Your team needs that clarity. It is not for impression, it is not for decoration, it is to bring clarity, set your team away from confusion, and give them that structure so that they can be aligned with every other person that is working with you in your team. And if anything I've shared with you today resonated, if it sparked a thought, a question, or even just a feeling, then hit the subscribe button. And my promise to you, alongside with my team, is to consistently bring you real, honest, and valuable content that helps you figure out project management, leadership, one conversation at a time. Thank you for being here. Cheers.